Next up, we have more voting isn't the answer, Repeal Policy 093. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favour of the motion? Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello. Yeah, pretty simple motion. Basically, there was a motion passed last year that meant the introduction of an election that bound NUS delegates to vote for a certain candidate for NUS president. This basically defeats the role of an NUS delegate because they are no longer independent. So therefore, and also when the election was run last year, we didn't reach quorum. And therefore, we've tried it, it hasn't worked, and it also is ineffective towards NUS delegates. So I would move that it should be abolished.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody wishing to speak against this motion? Yeah, over here, please.
Right, so I think the mention about not reaching quorum, so the promotion for the actual election, or the vote on who the students would support, the delegates would support by the students, that vote was not very well promoted at all. I did not see, and I'm quite engaged in the SU being here, there are very few people actually show up to these kinds of things. And a lot of students don't, need a lot of promotion to actually engage, like adverts and stuff. And I feel like the reason that we didn't reach quorum was because it was insufficiently promoted. On the point about delegates being able to implement their manifestos, in the actual original motion that this is repealing, it did say, if they specifically said in their manifesto that they would not follow the students' vote, that would mean they would be admitted to vote with whatever they said in their manifesto. So I feel like that we shouldn't be taking away students' voices in this way.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions from the floor? Yeah, we have one at the back.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just refute the idea that the SU didn't promote that election. I saw a lot of advertising of it and indeed voted in that election. But I'd like to comment and particularly draw attention to this union believes too, that it was worthwhile to try a different and considered approach to engaging more students in the student movement. But as holding further elections did not work at RSU, the motion should now be repealed. And I think that that's why it's so great that you've proposed this motion, because it means we can have change having tried something new.
We had, from the front, Ben at the front over here.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo both the things that were said previously, really. I am also quite engaged in the SU. And the election was advertised, and it was advertised well, considering that we do work with quite a small budget and a small team to advertise these elections. They did a pretty damn good job.
Thank you very much. Are there any further comments or questions from the floor? Yes, just over here.
Personally, I'm quite indifferent on this motion. However, I do raise a few points of what you've mentioned. You say this did not work. We had one attempt or two attempts at it. Is that enough of a sample size to determine that it could never work? And the other point was about it didn't reach quorum. We are facing we are facing problems with the turnout in democracy. We've had one election that perhaps is showing a change in that trend, but are we going to throw out the entire democratic system but on the basis that not enough people are engaging in it?
I'd just like to say, I don't think the proposer of this motion would have said that this was about one election and therefore we should get rid of it. This is just an idea that it perhaps fundamentally doesn't work that a delegate should be bound by another vote, so there's a fundamental principle thing that I support this motion for, but then also there wasn't an attempt. It doesn't matter how many there are in this instance, I don't think, because it has been tried effectively and it didn't do what it was meant to do.
Thank you very much. Luke, up next. Okay, and we had a comment from Alex at the front.
I think, again, on the whether one election is enough to point to show whether it works or not, I think there is a problem with maintaining turnout, and surely if there's that big a problem, it makes more sense to consolidate our resources and concentrate on the bigger, more important elections and concentrate on one small one that hasn't worked very well so far.
Thank you very much. Next up, we had a comment from Liam.
I think fundamentally, if we do not believe in the delegate system of the NUS, we need to actually work change the NUS system. If we want a one member, one vote system or one student, one vote system, we campaign with that in the NUS. I think you cannot change. You can have a mix of both of the systems there. And also, if you're in favour of saying, oh, can't have democracy once, should we have a people's vote as well then?
Thank you very much. Just at the back, Emma, over, just outside on the left. There we go.
Hi, I'm kind of echoing a lot of points that people have already said, but you talked about basically how we were satisfied with low turnout. Well, the SDU had the highest turnout ever in the autumn elections where they elected their NUS delegates. So people are engaged in democracy, but they've already elected the people who they think will carry out what they want at NUS, and those are the people who should elect the next people who are going to run the NUS, I guess.
Thank you very much. Any more comments or questions?
Yeah, pretty much just to ram home Evan's point, I think essentially people are becoming more and more engaged with the Students' Union, and I'm sure the people sat here would agree with me that once we've asked people to vote, we trust them to vote, and we should trust what they decide instead of making them vote again and again and again, effectively defeating the purpose of what an NUS delegate would be. They voted once, there was a high turnout, let's trust their vote, let's trust the people who they've chosen as delegates, and that should be the principle of this motion.
Thank you very much. James, did you have a comment? No? Yes, James, right in the middle.
So you had the point about rerunning democratic votes. Not quite sure what you're saying there. The EU referendum had one of the largest turnouts in this nation, 70-odd%. That's something the student union could only dream of. However, the main point I don't think, this is a rather general point, the student union. We can't go patting ourselves on the back with one good turnout. The autumn election was record-breaking, admittedly, but the spring election prior to it was the lowest turnout since 2006, 2007. And the general trend is downwards. I don't know, it may be a blip, it may be a sign of better things to come.
Thank you very much. If you'd just like to pass the microphone along to Luke, that's...
I don't know about anybody else, but I've got The Apprentice on record and I've still not watched it yet. So I'd like to propose procedural motion 7, please. Thanks.
I think we had another speaker, so we're
Cool.
we're gonna overrule that. If you could pass the microphone to Conrad, please. Thank you very much.
So this is just a question to the proposal of the motion. So this is a point of clarification. So if this does pass at the next ASM, does this mean that the delegates who were elected at the autumn elections, when the policy was in force, would be free to vote however they want, or how does it apply?
Yeah, if the proposer doesn't have to respond if he doesn't want to, but sure.
Yeah, the delegates can vote however they want. That's the whole point of an NUS delegate.
Any further comments or questions from the floor? Okay, we'll just put this to an indicative vote then. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your cards. All those against? And any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much.